2 points. That's all that separates the best model you can rent from the best model you can download for free tonight. It's called Kimi K3. A year ago, nobody could name the lab that built it. Open weights versus the closed frontier. And the technique closing the gap is now in front of lawyers. Full episode out now. 6 months ago, that sentence would have been absurd. Every serious answer to which model is best was proprietary, metered, and rented. Today, the leaderboard has 2 credible tiers on it, and one of them ships its weights. So here's the argument, and it's the line on the screen. Competition is what benefits users, and keeping it alive is the job regulation must get right. 2 tiers are exactly why quality went up while price came down. Hold on to that sentence, because the last slide is where it lands. Capability converged, economics and law did not. Everything in between is the evidence. 3 things to look at: what's left of the gap, what it actually costs you, and distillation, the technique that keeps closing it and is now a legal fight as much as a technical one. Neutral and source link throughout. Figures are as of late July 2026, and these rankings move week to week. Here's the runner show. First, who actually leads the closed frontier lineup and the open weight challengers by name? Second, how wide the gap really is, not one number, benchmarks, price per token, and the places where parity is genuine versus wishful. Third, distillation, what it is in plain terms, and why it changed the economics of the whole field. And fourth, why it ended up in front of lawyers, and what that means if you're the one deploying these models. If you only take one thing away, take the 4th section. That's the part that's still unsettled. Set the scene. January 2025. A Chinese lab releases a reasoning model under a permissive license, matching the top proprietary reasoner on several benchmarks. Reported training costs for the base model, $5.6 million, roughly a tenth of the compute its rival spent. NVIDIA lost $589 billion of market value in a single session. That's the number everyone remembers, but the durable consequence is the third one. By the second quarter of this year, more than 45% of open router traffic was going to Chinese open weight providers. The shock was a headline. The traffic shift is the actual story. Side A, the closed frontier, and it is still the frontier. Anthropic holds the top composite scores with Opus 5 and Fable 5. OpenAI's GPT 5.6 Sol leads the index outright. Terra is the same family, trading a little score for a lot of speed. Google's Gemini 3.1 Pro DeepThink anchors reasoning and multimodal, and xAI's Grok 4.5 is the value play, around 91% of the top score at a fraction of the output price. Note what these have in common. You rent them. You don't hold the weights, you don't pin the version, and the vendor decides when your model gets deprecated. Side B, and this is the part that changed. Kimi K3 from Moonshot is the best open weight model on the index. DeepSeek keeps shipping B3.2, B4, and a flash variant that landed at the end of July. Z.AI's GLM 5.2 brought real coding and agentic gains. Alibaba's Qwen 3.5 and Minimax M3 sit in the same tier at around 400 billion parameters. And the Western open lineage is alive. Meta's Llama 4, NVIDIA's Nemotron 3. 7 open weight models are now credibly frontier class. 2 years ago, that number was 0. Here's the scoreboard. Composite intelligence scores as of July. GPT 5.6. Sol and Claude Opus 5 tie at 58. Fable 5 just behind. And then Kimi K3 in Cyan at 55.7. 2.3 points. That is the distance between the best open weight model anyone can download and the best model money can rent. 2 caveats before anyone screenshots this. Composite scores blend very different benchmarks, so they flatten real differences. And these rankings genuinely move week to week. This is a photograph, not a trend line. Now read the gap properly, because open caught up is too blunt. On coding, it's effectively closed. Open weight coders are within striking distance of the top proprietary models on real-world workloads. On reasoning, closed still leads, 3 to 8 points on the hardest evaluations, and that's the band that matters for agentic work where errors compound. On multimodal, closed leads clearly. Unified text, image, audio and video, plus native computer use, remains a proprietary story. So the honest headline isn't that open caught up. It's that the gap now depends entirely on which capability you're buying. Let's put it side by side, because most teams are making this decision from vibes. Capability, close, with the caveats we just covered. Cost, an order of magnitude apart. Control, open weights that you self-host, fine-tune, inspect, and pin a version forever. Closed means the vendor owns your upgrade calendar. Data residency is the one people underrate. With open weights, staying inside your boundary is an architectural fact. With an API, it's a contractual promise. Those are not the same kind of guarantee. And notice the last row. Both columns carry risk. It's just different risk. Neither of these is a default, and in practice, most serious stacks run both. This is where the difference actually shows up on the invoice. Top-tier proprietary output pricing runs into double digits per million tokens. Kimi K3, open weight, is a fraction of that. Grok 4.5 shows the closed tier can compete on price too, if you drop off the very top. At the extremes, the gap reaches roughly 50 times per million output tokens. But don't over-rotate on self-hosting. Below about 100 million tokens a month, serverless open-weight APIs beat owning GPUs, once you count idle capacity, ops, and failover. Owning the weights and owning the hardware are separate decisions. Adoption tells a different story from the leaderboard. More than 45% of Open Router traffic goes to Chinese open-weight providers. The single most used open-weight model moves nearly 5 trillion tokens a week. 7 open-weight models are frontier class, and the largest carry 1 million tokens of context. Here's the interpretation, and it's important. Usage share is not capability. The cheapest adequate model wins the token count long before it wins the benchmark. Most production traffic is classification, extraction, and routine generation, not frontier reasoning. That's what these numbers are measuring. Now the fine print, and this is where deals go wrong. Permissive is real. MIT and Apache 2.0, DeepSeek's R1 line, and a growing set of small reasoners. Commercial use, redistribution, and fine-tuning included. Conditional is the bigger bucket. Llama-style community licenses add user thresholds, naming obligations, and use restrictions. The weights are downloadable. The rights are not unlimited. Those are different things. And the misread I see most often, origin is not license. Several Chinese flagships are closed weight, not open. Treating Chinese as a synonym for open is how teams end up with a licensing surprise after they've shipped. 5 glosses. In my experience, these move total cost more than the price per token does. Output ownership. Who owns what the model generates? And critically, whether you're allowed to use those outputs to train another model. Hold that thought. It comes back in 10 minutes. training on your data, whether your prompts feed the next version, and how you opt out. IP indemnity. Frontier vendors increasingly cover you against copyright claims on outputs. Open weights give you nothing. That's a real line item. Redistribution. Can you ship the weights inside a product or only serve them? And field of use limits, which survive fine-tuning. Where does liability actually land? First, the strongest claim against distilling a rival model is breach of contract, not copyright. Whether model outputs carry protectable rights at all is genuinely untested. Second, provenance travels. Download open weights and you inherit their training history. If a lineage is later found to be tainted, exposure moves downstream to whoever deployed it. Third, regulatory asymmetry. Open releases and commercial providers carry different documentation, evaluation, and disclosure duties under emerging rules. Fourth, cross-border controls now touch model access, not just chips. Availability can change without notice. Standard disclaimer: this is reporting on an unsettled area, not legal advice. So, distillation. The idea is older than the current boom. Hinton and colleagues, 2015. A large, expensive teacher model generates outputs. Increasingly, that means full reasoning traces, not just answers. You're capturing how it worked, not only what it concluded. A smaller student model is then fine-tuned to imitate those outputs. It inherits behavior it never had the compute to learn on its own. The payoff is comparable quality on the student's strengths at a fraction of the inference cost and hardware footprint. That's it. It's a compression technique. Everything controversial about it comes from where the teacher's outputs came from. And it's already everywhere. The R1 Distill family. 6 variants from 1.5 billion to 70 billion parameters, built on Qwen and Llama backbones, is the most downloaded distillation lineage in open weights. 5.4 goes further. Synthetic data distilled from larger models as a primary pre-training signal, not a finishing step. Then the community layer. OpenThinker, SkyT1, Bespoke Stratus, and dozens more. Distilling open reasoners down to sizes that run on a laptop. Typical recovery is 70 to 90% of teacher quality on the student's strengths, and reasoning transfers better than general capability. This is the mechanism keeping open weights months behind the frontier instead of years. Which brings us to the dispute. OpenAI has said, in internal memos and press reports, that DeepSpec trained on outputs from its models in breach of its terms of use. Reported evidence includes high stylistic similarity to ChatGPT outputs and access routed through obfuscated third-party services. Anthropic has separately reported large-scale scraping of Claude through fake accounts. Here's the whole. Distillation is a published, recognized technique. Nobody disputes that. What's unsettled is whether model outputs carry protectable rights at all, which is why the strongest claim is contract, not copyright. No decided case has resolved it. And I want to be precise. These are reported allegations, not adjudicated findings. Practical guidance, and then we'll close. Buy closed for the hardtail. Deep reasoning, multimodal, long horizon, agentic work. That's where frontier pricing still earns its keep. Buy open for volume. High throughput coding, extraction, routine generation. That's where a 50 times cost gap compounds into real money. Check the license before the benchmark. Downloadable weights are not automatically free to ship, and plan for churn. Leaderboards moved weekly through 2026. Build an abstraction layer, not a single vendor dependency. The teams that got hurt this year were the ones who hardwired one provider into everything. Let me finish with what I think would actually be best for you, the user. Competition is the dividend. Two credible tiers is precisely why quality rose while price fell. The healthiest outcome is not either side winning outright. Portability over loyalty. Standard interfaces and honest evaluations let teams move workloads as the leaderboard churns, instead of replatforming every year. Provenance as a product feature. If vendors disclosed clearly what a model was trained on and distilled from, today's legal fog becomes something buyers can simply price. And rules that fit the tier. Proportionate obligations that keep open releases viable for small teams, while holding frontier deployments to a higher bar. The bottom line, and this is where the opening line lands, capability converged. Economics and law did not. Open weights own the volume. Closed models still own the hardest tasks. And distillation is the mechanism holding the two within months of each other, which is exactly why it's now a legal question rather than only a technical one, which is the whole case for competition. Two credible tiers are why quality rose while price fell, and keeping that alive is the part regulation has to get right. That's the thing worth protecting. If you're making a decision this quarter, pick per workload, read the license, and keep the option to switch. That's Popular Now, Episode 3. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next.